The land trembles under the weight of predators. The wind carries the scent of blood and survival. In a world where every breath is a wager, where shadows themselves seem to stalk, the living one, question echoes louder than the growl of any beast, were the dire wolves, the legendary Canis dirus, more terrifying than the wolves we know today. Imagine standing barefoot in the dust of deep time, your pulse quickening, your instincts sharpened, as a massive silhouette emerges from the mist of prehistory. This is not the wolf of fairy tales, nor the wolf that hunts quietly in modern forests. This is a creature forged in the crucible of ice and hunger, a predator that fed on giants. How do humans of today, protected by fire weapons and walls, compare to the primal tribes who once stood eye to eye with this beast? The answer lies in a tale of survival carved into bone and earth. The scene opens across endless plains under a burning sun. The grass shivers with hidden life herds of prehistoric horses moving in cautious rhythm, giant bison grazing with uneasy calm, and towering mammoths shifting their colossal weight. Beneath their serenity lurks a menace, shadows moving low and deliberate golden eyes catching the light bodies rippling with muscle beneath thick coats. This is the pack of Canis dirus, dire wolves larger and more robust than any wolf alive today. Their jaws do not simply pierce flesh, they crush bone-snapping ribs and skulls with a power evolved to bring down beasts far larger than themselves. Each step they take is synchronized, their rhythm as ancient as hunger itself. In the distance, a band of early hominins huddles close together, their bodies lean, their senses stretched taut with fear. They are not yet masters of fire, not yet armed with sharpened spears, but their eyes track the predators with the same vigilance as prey animals do. The dire wolves circle. The air tightens. Survival here is not measured in days, but in heartbeats. A misplaced step could unravel the fragile thread binding life to the body. The dire wolves press closer, their numbers heavy, their growls low and rolling like thunder across the grassland. The hunters of giants have turned their gaze toward fragile bipeds. But the early humans are not defenseless. Their hands, though empty, carry the weight of cunning. A sudden cry splits the silence, a shrill alarm that scatters birds into the sky. The group moves quickly toward a ridge of sharp rocks, using the terrain as their shield. The dire wolves lunge swift and merciless, their paws pounding the soil in violent rhythm. Dust erupts beneath their charge. For a moment, the fate of an entire bloodline trembles. Will the pack overwhelm them, tearing into the weak? Or will strategy, unity, and sheer will carry the humans through the storm of fangs? The clash is not one of equals. It is one of endurance. Dire wolves push with brute force, their bodies designed for coordinated assault, while the humans push with adaptation, instinctively forming a circle, brandishing stones as weapons, thrusting them with desperate precision. A wolf is struck across the muzzle, another clipped on the shoulder. The pack hesitates, snarling, weighing risk against hunger. In this hesitation lies the truth of survival. Predators test, prey resists, and the balance of power shifts with every heartbeat. The sun lowers, casting blood-red light across the plain. The wolves retreat, melting back into the tall grass, their eyes still burning in the distance. The humans, trembling but alive, breathe together, bound by the invisible chain of shared survival. And in that exhale lies the seed of something greater. The realization that intelligence, unity, and resilience can tilt the scale against even the most fearsome of predators. It is here in this fragile standoff between ancient humans and Canis dirus that we glimpse a deeper truth. Danger is not always about size, strength, or fangs. It is about the eternal struggle between raw power and evolving mind. Were dire wolves more dangerous than wolves today? To the humans of that age, with no fire, no tools, no walls, the answer was carved into every scar and every story whispered around their primitive shelters. Survival against such beasts was not guaranteed. It was a victory snatched from the edge of annihilation. The night settles like a heavy cloak over the savanna, the horizon glowing faintly with the last embers of the sun. Darkness amplifies the dread. In this prehistoric world, nighttime belongs to predators, and the dire wolves thrive under its shadow. Their low howls roll across the land like the tolling of ancient bells, a sound that chills marrow and tightens the gut. For the early humans crouched in silence, each note of the howl is more than a warning. It is a reminder that danger stalks them even in their sleep. Unlike the wolves of today, smaller and more cautious, these dire wolves are relentless. Their hunger is sharpened by competition with saber-toothed cats, short-faced bears, and other titans of the Pleistocene. To survive, they hunt with precision and ferocity, never wasting an opportunity to press their advantage. The humans huddle close, their eyes glowing with the reflection of starlight. They are creatures caught between frailty and awakening power. Their muscles cannot match the predators, their speed is nothing compared to the sprint of a wolf pack, but their minds crackle with problem-solving. One gathers brittle branches, another sharpens stones against each other, their sparks fleeting in the dark. Fire is not yet theirs, but the instinct to shape tools is stirring. Against the backdrop of snarls and snapping twigs in the tall grass, these fragile gestures hold the promise of a future where thought eclipses brute force. Meanwhile, the dire wolves circle their senses, tuned to every rustle, every tremor. One lowers its body close to the ground, inching forward, its massive shoulders rippling with suppressed power. Another flanks wide, disappearing into the tall reeds, preparing to strike from the side. Their eyes, golden and pitiless, scan for weakness, a limping step, a distracted child, a momentary lapse. This is how they conquered mammoths, how they stripped bison to bone. They do not test for bravery. They test for survival's cracks. A sudden snap echoes through the night as a human hurls a stone into the darkness. It clatters against bone and a dire wolf yelps in surprise. The rest of the pack freezes for a fraction of a second. That hesitation is enough. The humans surge together, not in retreat but in defiance, their bodies weaving into a single trembling wall of resistance. They scream into the night, their cries primal and sharp, not words but raw vibrations that ripple with defiance. The wolves recoil unused to prey, that challenges unused to quarry, that dares to make itself larger than fear. The standoff continues in silence, each side watching, measuring. Then slowly, as if pulled by the weight of unseen instincts, the dire wolves retreat into the veil of tall grass. Their glowing eyes fade into darkness, their footsteps muffled into the soil, leaving only the echo of their howls. The humans remain still for long moments, their breaths shallow, their hearts drumming like war beats. Only when the night deepens into quiet do they dare to relax, drawing closer together for warmth and strength. In that fragile cocoon of survival they carry the unspoken knowledge they had faced the beast that was once thought invincible, and they had endured. But the dire wolves will return, and tomorrow the struggle will begin again. In this endless contest between predator and prey, one lesson carves itself into the marrow of humanity. Survival is not won in a single night. It is forged again and again, in every confrontation, every wound, every scar left behind by the jaws of Canis dirus. Dawn breaks over the savannah in a blaze of crimson and gold, painting the horizon with a fire that no hand has yet mastered. The mist rises from the earth, curling like smoke, hiding both prey and predator in its shifting veil. For the humans who survived the long night, the light is a fragile reprieve, a chance to breathe, to forage, to regroup. Yet, beneath the morning calm, the threat of dire wolves lingers like a shadow etched into the land itself. Unlike modern wolves, lean and cautious, these beasts are built for dominance. Their skulls thick and crushing their fangs, designed not merely to tear, but to pulverize, mark them as rulers of carnage, in a time when the earth itself tested the limits of endurance. The humans stir restlessly, hunger gnawing at their bellies. They move toward the remains of a carcass, a fallen bison that had collapsed during the night. But already, the dire wolves are there. Their muzzles drip with blood, their massive paws planted firmly in possession. They lift their heads as the humans approach, lips curling back, breath steaming in the cool dawn. This is no ordinary standoff over food. It is a collision of two worlds, brute force against cunning resolve. The humans hesitate, their eyes flicking between the carcass and the predators. The dire wolves advance a few paces, issuing low growls that ripple like thunder across the plain. But survival does not allow hesitation for long. One human grips a jagged stone, another brandishes a long branch hardened by the sun. They fan out in formation, not charging recklessly, but encircling the wolves with a rhythm learned through countless confrontations. The wolves snarl louder, but their pack instincts force them to reassess. These bipeds, though weak alone, move like one creature when pressed together. They strike with stones, thrust with branches, scream with the raw ferocity of beings who refuse to die. Dust explodes around them as wolves lunge and humans counter a whirlwind of claws, teeth, and desperate blows. The struggle is short, violent, and decisive. A wolf wounded by a sharp strike to its jaw stumbles back, yelping, its blood spattering the soil. Another, struck by a rain of stones, falters in its advance. The pack hesitates, instincts screaming against further risk. Their hunger remains, but survival, even for predators, demands retreat. Slowly snarling and defiant, the dire wolves withdraw, dragging their injured member into the safety of tall grass. Their glowing eyes linger one last time before the savannah swallows them whole. The humans collapse in exhaustion, their bodies quivering, their hands bloodied and bruised. Yet, in their survival lies something greater than mere endurance, the birth of defiance, the spark of dominance. Against a predator, larger, stronger, and more ruthless than wolves today, they endured not through strength of body, but through unity of spirit. This confrontation is more than a fight for food. It is a rehearsal for the destiny of their kind. One day fire will blaze in their hands, weapons of stone will become blades of steel, and the howl of the wolf will echo not in dominance, but in retreat. Were dire wolves more dangerous than modern wolves? To the early humans crouched in terror beneath their golden eyes, the answer was carved into flesh and memory. Yet in their peril, they found power. For every clash with Canis dirus shaped not only scars, but the future. And in that future, the wolf would no longer rule the plains, the human mind would.